Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. I am your host with the most, Chill motherfucking Murray. Y'all tuned in to the Live from the Spot podcast. I hope everybody's doing well this evening. Shout out to everybody tuning in or not tuning in. Ain't never gonna change. You know how we rock, baby. So I had a completely different pod today ready for y'all. I had a completely different pod ready for today. And then I just so happened to be just sitting there. And this is what I said too. I said on the pod beforehand, I said, I'm gonna let the powers that be in the universe do what they gotta do. We ain't gonna keep speaking on it. We ain't gonna keep wishing on it and want it to happen and all this. If it's supposed to happen, we gonna let it happen. We reported on Sloan Bella predicting when it was gonna happen, around the time frame and everything. She said March Easter time. She said something is going to happen to him in March. She said that specifically. Here we are. The diddler, they done got him. And not necessarily got him, but they definitely have finally raided the houses. And we know how this works. They don't just knock on that door unless they know something. You ask Young Thug that one. You ask a few people that. They don't come knocking on that door unless they know what they there for already. If they find something extra, they just find something extra. But they know what they did to get. And from what I kept seeing from that LA home, it looked like, because they haven't said exactly what they there for. But if I was a guessing man, they're there open. That Kim Porter case is about to open up again. If I was a guessing man, because the camera kept showing that house. The camera kept showing that side house. And for them to specifically say the LA and Miami home, they are looking for two things. They are looking for evidence on the Kim Porter situation, and they are looking on evidence for the sex trafficking. They are looking on evidence of pedophilia. They're looking up all his shit. Trust me when I tell you. Like I said, if they are there for them tapes, they are there raiding the house for evidence. They know what they are there to get. So we're going to now analyze and look at I believe this was Fox broadcast news from LA itself. Let's tune in.
Those heavily armored
Fox 11
gear and equipment. LA. I don't think they're actually searching for any items that could connect whatever the investigation is. I would venture to say that those are going to be the guys that you're seeing right there, and they're waiting for that all clear. And then this group that you see there, those are the ones that are actually going to go inside. They probably have, like you said, they probably have ideas what they're looking for, where they might be. So, but right now, it is still a waiting game to make sure that everybody is out of this building and that it is secure for the investigators to make their way in and actually start that search.
And we should mention, thank you, Stu, that if this is in fact involving a sex trafficking investigation, we do know that according to Diddy's attorneys and the rapper himself, he has denied any wrongdoing in any of all this. So there are two sides, of course, to this as this all plays out. But it is interesting that these raids happening at the same time. According to TMZ, a raid of his Miami home is happening right now, as well as now we're looking at the live pictures of what's going on in Holmby Hills at this mansion right here, all connected to Sean Combs. So again, until we find out further word as to what exactly they're searching for and why, we continue to look at the procedures taking place regarding this raid that's being conducted by Homeland Security. You have support from local law enforcement officials as well. We saw from the ground shots, you see multiple agencies there a part of all of this, and they have a number of resources on hand with a drone flying up top, as well as they had ladders taking a closer look at certain parts of the property. And so they are looking at every nook and cranny they need to in terms of why they're investigating this home and property. So clearly this is going to take a while, and as Haley mentioned, with her shot down on the ground right there, more people are coming to your area. Haley?
Yeah, I would say it's mostly media at this point. We were the first ones here on
Yeah,
scene, but
I
yes,
can
there's
only
probably a
imagine
dozen
how much
different,
media is down there already.
agencies. Yeah, it looks like his homes on both coasts are being raided. We still have not gotten word on exactly where P. Diddy is, if he is in fact in New York right now or in Los Angeles, and of course, yeah, we haven't seen him here in Holmby Hills. This is right off of.
Take a pause for the cause real quick, because we have plenty of update on where he is. We have plenty of update on where Mr. Diddy is. In fact, about 4:22. That's funny. As if Biggie took a puff of his blunt at 4:20 and said, "Oh no, I know where he at. I know exactly where he at. Let me tell you. I'll show you where he at. Show you exactly where he at." Big said, "I got you." And this is from TMZ. It says Diddy love affair. Diddy love air private jet. Love affair. Huh? Tracked Emmett raids down on Caribbean island. Diddy's homes were raided in the U.S. to kick off the week, but the guy's own private jet is miles away in a completely different nation. Although it's unclear if he's aboard himself, TMZ has tracked Diddy's personal Love Air LLC jet, the well-known black Gulfstream 5 that Diddy has flaunted and flown for years now. And it looks like the aircraft is currently on the ground in Antigua, which is down in the Caribbean. So, based on the flight activity viewed by TMZ, Diddy's jet has been up and down California between Sunday and Monday, taking off from Sacramento Executive Airport Sunday evening around 5:30 p.m. and landing at Palm Springs International Airport about an hour later. An hour after that, around 7:30, Diddy's jet took off from Palm Springs yet again and landed in Van Nuys Airport, which is in LA. About 30 minutes later, around 8 p.m., around 9 a.m. Monday, the jet took off from Van Nuys Airport and landed at some point in Antigua. So he was actually in LA. If we're looking at the flight activity, so here, let's read it again real quick, right? So he took off from Sacramento in the evening time around 5:30. Right? Landed in Palm Springs. So he's in California. Right? An hour after that, around 7:30, the jet took off from Palm Springs yet again and landed near LA. About 30 minutes later, around 9 a.m., see, this is where things get a little confusing. So it says an hour after that, which was 7:30. Okay? So Palm Springs, yet again, he landed in Van Nuys, which is in LA. It couldn't have been 30 minutes later. Okay, I see what you're saying now. Okay, so around 8 a.m., he took off again. No, 8 p.m. Yeah, so in LA, about 30 minutes later, so around 9 a.m. Monday, he left. So he must have gotten the word this morning that something was going to happen if he left to Antigua from LA. He was still in LA this morning. The plane is currently grounded there, although the flight data has yet to update and register him as having officially landed in any case. It's definitely Diddy's jet, no question. The only thing that remains unanswered is whether Diddy is on the plane. We don't have any evidence he is at this point. We also don't know what's happening on the scene. And now let's just go back to our
Sunset in Beverly Glen, and it all unfolded, I would say, about 30 minutes ago. They're at his home here. They're also at his home in Miami. Of course, it's a little bit calmer, I would say, than it was about 20 minutes ago when it all happened. The guns that were drawn earlier have been since put away. Looks like they just put away their drone, but of course doing a thorough job of checking the home for any kind of details that they can come up with related to these allegations against sex trafficking. As you said, Sandra, there's several lawsuits against him for these allegations, all of which he has denied. So we will have to wait and see. Of course, and everybody's interested in the details of what how he's connected to these latest allegations.
And from your vantage
we will bring
point,
the very latest as soon as, I'm sorry?
Yeah, from your vantage point, Haley, does it look like some authorities are leaving the scene right now? They're done, or not? Is that not the case?
No, it looks like more are coming. I think what you're seeing is just the vehicles moving to a different location. We're kind of at the bottom of the hill, but if you go up a little bit farther, some of the vehicles that you saw down here earlier have since kind of gone to the other side of the hill. This is obviously a very prestigious neighborhood. I said earlier, Humphrey Bogart's former house, I think, is next door to P. Diddy's in the 200 block here of Mapleton and Holmby Hills off of Sunset near Beverly Glen. So the vehicles have basically just moved forward. You're seeing a lot more of those law enforcement officers from the Department of Homeland Security, though, back here on the street in Mapleton since they've come out of the home after they've done their thorough investigating inside that beautiful home belonging to P. Diddy, to Sean Combs. So I don't think they have any intention, Sandra, on going anywhere anytime soon. And overhead, you can see law enforcement helicopters and, of course, Stu up there in Sky Fox.
Thank you so much, Haley, for that perspective on the ground right there in front of that Holmby Hills mansion. Stu, up in Skyfox, it looks like, yes, there are some more law enforcement, but in
if they're raiding
attire.
both homes,
should I say
this is going to take at
suits
least
instead of
2 or
body
3
armor?
days at
Definitely.
minimum. This is
we
going to
all
be
know
2
how
or
that
3
works.
days
The
of them
suits are
raiding
gonna
the
be the
home
investigators
minimum.
and probably the ones that are running the show. And again, I still think that they are just waiting for that green light for them to be allowed to make their way inside the property and to make their way to the areas that I would venture
See,
to say that
this
they
is the
probably are
part
pretty
where
specific. I don't think
they're
just
going over the
randomly. And again, this
blueprints
is just
of
a
where they're
guess.
going to be
I don't
looking
think
for
they're going
things
in
at this
randomly,
point.
just going through.
They know what they're
everybody's
there
stuff
for.
inside there.
They know what they
probably
have to
an
look
area
for.
that
They're
they
looking
know,
over
or
the
an
actual
office that they're gonna be looking
blueprints
into, or some
and the
computers
architecture
that they
of
might
where
wanna
they have
physically
to
get their
actually
hands
go,
on, and
so
that's what they're waiting for right now
they
to
don't
make their
go
way
off of the
inside this
focus of what
property.
they're
Is,
there
like
for.
you said, very beautiful home out there in the Holmby Hills area, and they just waiting to get the all clear to allow them inside. While these officers that we see right there in the tactical gear, well, their job is to make sure that everything is safe for them to go in. Now, they don't probably, again, I just want to be clear, it's like nobody's thinking that there's booby traps or some kind of sniper inside the home. That's not what they're thinking at all. It's probably more along the lines of they want to make sure that everybody is outside of the home because they don't want to have somebody stepping out or coming out later on and, surprising or catching people off guard. That's not what they want. And right now you can see Sandra, you've been saying, there's a large number of people out here. I would venture to say, as far as the officers go, I would probably put this group closer to 100. Not just what we're seeing right here. This is just one group of many that have made their way out here to this Holmby Hills area. And as far as the suits that we were talking about, that's part of the group right there. But there's some other ones as well, younger ones that were basically leading the charge. And that's them right there, actually. They perfect timing. And it looks like they're making their way over towards the home. They might be the first ones to make their way in to start that investigation process or figure out where we're going to look, what we're looking for, and then later on the suits will make their way in as well. But this, like you said, is going to be a very long process out here, and this is just the very, very beginning. And the folks that they had taken into custody, they've moved them out of the area right now. And again, wouldn't say that they are arrested. We don't know that for a fact. They took them into custody. A few of them still had cuffs on. Some of them didn't. So maybe this was a division of, you know, these are people that we know work here. These are people that may be associated with Sean Combs. So, or Bad Boy Entertainment. So it's one of those type of situations. And until they know who they are, they're just going to keep them in custody and possibly just let them go later on. And I don't believe the word arrested has been used out here as of yet, but again, still very active situation, and of course that is a huge house, and they've got a lot of rooms to clear before they allow those investigators in.
Yeah, we talk about the process of bringing this many law enforcement officials to the scene to have a raid like this and conduct a raid and make entry into a Holmby Hills mansion that's owned by a prominent celebrity and their business. So clearly, this is something that doesn't happen just overnight. Law enforcement officials do have to have their evidence ready. They have to make sure every T is crossed in order to make entry into a home like this for an investigation. So when we talk about and see these kinds of raids happen or having them be conducted, it kind of shows that they do have enough evidence that their investigation is to a certain point where they have made a search warrant and they've gotten all of the evidence they need to have a search warrant, that they have to establish that a crime was possibly committed and there's evidence of probable cause and a crime that has taken place. So all of these things, they have to meet a threshold before law enforcement can just come together like this and approach a property and make entry. So we're seeing that here at Holmby Hills and also in Miami, where they are searching Sean Combs' Miami home as well. So again, this doesn't just happen overnight. This is a process that they've been working on for quite some time to make sure that they have enough evidence to be able to conduct a raid like this, especially with so many law enforcement agencies involved, investigators involved, and you see just personnel involved on location right there. And you do.
So, with that being said, right? Because she made a very interesting point. So, with so many different law enforcements being involved, remember, we're talking about a Miami home as well as an LA home. So, that's two different districts of police that are actually working together to even do a raid right now. On top of the fact that, yes, he did not have to be home for the raid, but this also should tell you the level of power that Diddy is actually at for the simple fact that they did it the way they did it. Remember how we just went over some different information here. So obviously he had some type of tip off to be in LA the morning before that they actually did the raid. They'll should say the morning of that they're doing the raid. He was in LA. Now, what is baffling to me is that the kids are still there and he left LA as if he knew that the raid was going to happen and he didn't want anything. You know that scene in b.l.a.c where DMX is pulling up to the crib and he sees the SWAT team and everything like that, but he knows Keisha's inside? That's what it feels like right here with Diddy. It feels like he got the tip off. He saw the SWAT team already saying, okay, someone told him that there was going to be someone coming there to raid that house. He got that information way beforehand. For him to be in LA and leave at 9 o'clock in the morning and be in Antigua, that means he knew ahead of time. But for the kids to still be there is a little bit disgusting to me. But as I said before, this is one of those situations where it's going to take a couple of days before this is actually going to be come to any type of conclusion as far as the evidence they find. Remember, we're going through multiple cases here, multiple cases at one time.
See a number of people. This is going to be an active situation for quite some time. Again, we don't know what they're looking for. We don't know what the interest is right now. We can only presume that it is part of a sex trafficking investigation. Those are multiple lawsuits that Sean Combs have been facing this year alone, allegations that he denies, but clearly this could be all part of the process here. But again, law enforcement does just not go in willy-nilly into a home and conduct a raid like this unless they get the necessary evidence they need to get that search warrant to acquire entry as well. So if we could take a look from Haley's point of view, it does seem like there are more individuals gearing up or maybe more investigators on the scene from the ground there, Haley.
Hey, Sandra. Yes, we're actually trying to get an interview lined up, obviously live with the Department of Homeland Security. We had a lady come down here just a minute ago and give her card. So trying to contact her so we can, of course, get some official details from her, because everything that we're getting is basically behind the scenes from our law enforcement sources here. So basically, we don't have anything new yet. We're still just waiting to kind of figure out exactly what happened. We know, of course, P. Diddy's homes on both coasts have been raided. You can see some more officers coming out of his property right now. Just trying to see if I could see the lady who we're hoping to get the interview with, and she's just messaging me back, so I've got to send her an email for the request first. So we're working on that to get you some more details. But yeah, it's still very active on scene, just more and more vehicles showing up. This is largely, most of the law enforcement officers here, Sandra, are, of course, the Department of Homeland Security, and then we also have LASD and LAPD here as well. So as soon as I can get anything official on camera, we'll come back and let you know.
Definitely. I know what it's like on the ground right there. You're dealing with a lot of officials, trying to get some answers, trying to talk to people. And of course, it is very difficult to do two things at once. So we will let you get to work right there on the ground. Let's go up to Stu again. As I was mentioning the procedure of this, and you've covered so many of these types of stories, you've been overhead when these raids have happened. This isn't a process that just happens overnight. Clearly, they are looking for something. They have enough evidence, and they were able to get a search warrant before they could even do or conduct a raid like this.
Oh, you definitely, as Sandra, and what you're talking about really kind of shows exactly what you're trying to point out, that this didn't just happen overnight. This wasn't just an accusation and they came and, knocked down the doors and started tearing up the house. This was something that's an ongoing investigation. Lawyers, attorneys, and district attorneys, they all have to sign off on this. They have to look this over. Judges have to make that decision as well, and nobody wants to be on the end of a wrongful seizure. So, of course, they needed to show evidence that there is a reason for this type of force and for these officers to make their way into this home. And then again, of course, the world we live in today, all of these officers that are showing up, they all know that, we are everybody's under a watchful eye nowadays. So they made every effort to do this as quickly and as less destructive as possible. We watched them trying to get through one of those side gates. That pedestrian gate was giving them a little bit of an issue, but in the end, they got in there, and after that, they made their way in very quickly. We didn't see any doors being smashed or things getting kicked in. It was basically a lot of opening up and just letting that garage door, somebody got in there and they opened up that garage door, and or possibly the people inside were curious what was going on and they opened up that garage door. But again, the forceful entry part of it, it really truly was just in a little bit here in that side gate. Everything else was very quick and with etiquette would be the best way to say it, actually. Yeah. They went in and they just did what they needed to do. And again, the reason why they're still there, I can tell you, it's not like a television show where they're pulling out drawers and dumping out clothes and just trashing the place. They just want to make sure that there are no other people inside that building that may still be scared, hiding, or having a problem. And that as soon as that word is given, which I'm sure is going to come shortly, because we already saw a couple of the groups making their way in, less armed. So they're making their way in. They're going to start looking for, then of course, even in that warrant, they're going to have a list of things that they are able to look at, able to take. It isn't just a random search. They actually have to go in and actually find things that they believe have information or evidence that could create a guilty or innocent situation for Sean Combs.
So let's think about something real quick, right? So allegedly, right? Let's put two and two together on a couple of things. We know for a fact that they could be possibly, as they already said, that they know for sure that it's in relation to the sex trafficking allegations, right? So let's put that already into play as far as an assumption. Let's put that already into assumption that they're there for the tapes of the sex trafficking, right? They're there to find the freak off sessions. They're there to find evidence that Cassie spoke about. They're there to find evidence that the other two victims had spoke about. They're there to talk about or should I say, find the evidence that Little Rod had spoke about very recently. Reason why I say that, think about the fact that they mentioned specifically this being a RICO, okay? That they were acting in the sense of a RICO. So there's that as well. Then you have to also put in play the Kim Porter situation. Then you have to remember with the Kim Porter situation, there was evidence of foul play found. There was evidence of bodily harm done to, physical harm done to her, not just her catching pneumonia and having side effects of pneumonia. Remember, they found the pencil shavings. Okay, they found a lot of different interesting things with the murder of Kim Porter, and like I said, the fact that they keep mentioning those two homes specifically is what's leading to my mind. I think that they're going to build a huge case of multiple things around Mr. Combs. This is going to be another R. Kelly situation to where he's going to court for one thing. He thinks he's going to be done with that. No, 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 no. You're going to court for this too. Or you think you're done with that? No, 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 no. We have a third thing for you. This is going to be one of those situations here. He's going to be facing multiple charges for multiple different things that he's actually done. And if we're going to also put on and factor up the Kim Porter situation, we have to factor in the Keefe D situation, don't we? We have to factor in the Keefe D situation. The Keefe D situation is what seemingly sparked off a lot of this. With the Keefe D situation being in relates to people saying that he had the pocket done. Remember, there was TMZ footage of the cops trying to raid one of the homes there. People saying, "Oh, we don't know for sure, but they might be raiding one of the homes of Sean Diddy Combs," in relation to them trying to find evidence to the Keefe D shooting, saying that Keefe D had something to do with shooting Tupac. But lo and behold, Keefe D had said that it was Diddy that actually put the hit out on Tupac. So there are a lot of things here that they are searching for evidence for.
At any rate, this is still very ongoing, very preliminary, but again, we do see a large force out there, which, like you're trying to say, or what I believe you did say, is that this is a warranted search. And of course, they are here, and they are definitely looking for specific pieces of information. What they are, we don't know. We may never know, but right now that search is definitely ongoing.
Yeah, you said it. I mean, we've covered so many of these different types of raids. Obviously, not always at a celebrity mansion like this in Holmby Hills, but clearly sometimes you see them having to forcefully enter a property and seize evidence, and it doesn't always go so smoothly. And it was, in fact, very smooth the way they gained entry into this property. And after they figured out that side entrance, they were able to make entry. But it's not like they show in the movies, as you mentioned, Stu, right? They weren't battering down doors and destroying property. This is very methodical, and in terms of many stories we've covered like this, it was a very easy entry, and they were able to access the property and get on site. So clearly, they're ready for anything. Whatever they're going to be met with, you don't know, and that is why they make sure that they are safe in numbers, that they're armored, and that is why you see such a big force out there, because you never know what kind of emotion you're going to be met with.
Definitely, and emotion is really what plays a lot of it, and that's one of the things that we were talking about is, you know, right now, that was the gate that they were having all that trouble. They're actually looking at that actual door and propping it open, but that was the door that was giving them trouble, and I was trying to figure out if that is actually maybe like a private entrance for that back house. It does actually look like it. It seems like, you know, if you're staying there, that's how you get in and out without going through the actual house itself. but you can see they still have personnel there on scene. Every house, there's 3 properties that I would say on this big piece of property. They all have some sort of somebody there, just making sure that there isn't anything being taken or anything moving in and out, and or another person in that area. But that main house, there's still a number of folks that like armored personnel that we've seen go in have not seen come out, but there's some of those ones that are not wearing the gear, and those are that first group that made their way in. They were here originally. They came with the armored trucks. They did not make their way into the property. They waited outside, and now they are actually making their way to that front door, which shows you that their progress is being made. And of course, we will keep keeping an eye on the as we call them, and it is what they are, the suits down there. I'm sure those are the ones that are pretty much running the show, or where all the evidence is going to go to in the end. They are still outside, so that shows you that they're going to be waiting. I would venture to say when they find something, those are the guys that are going to make their way in and actually looking at and taking things from this home. But right now, that's still, that process, I wouldn't even think has actually even started.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to take a lot of time. That is a huge mansion to begin with. And then it depends on what they're looking for. It could be as small as a hard drive or as big as boxes and boxes full of evidence or information they're trying to collect and gather. And where all of that information is also the tricky part. I mean, think about going into a stranger's home. You don't know where they put things. And so it could be very hidden. So this whole process, it could take a lot of time in terms of them finding what they made entry for. So this is a methodical, lengthy process. And again, this is taking place right here in Holmby Hills, as well as his Miami home. And I'm sure law enforcement officials from both sides in Miami and LA are certainly talking to each other as they go through this as well. But still no sign of Sean Combs himself. We don't know where he is. It's not clear if they're looking for him. He may be in New York, as Haley was mentioning on the ground there. But clearly, this was in all a very peaceful raid as they made entry, and right now as they are making their way in and out of the property as they conduct their search. But a search that is just beginning, as you see those suits, the investigators taking their time, making sure everything is done properly and methodically in terms of what they're looking for at this point. Again, we have a lot of questions that we just don't know the answers to at this point. We do have someone on the line right now, Hal Kempfer. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you can make light of what we're looking at in terms of Homeland Security making entry into the Holmby Hills mansion of Sean Combs.
Sandra, this is a Homeland Security Investigations that appears to be on site. What they're probably looking for is, well, I should say in general, they look at human trafficking and sex trafficking being a component of that. And of course, there's been some rather big civil suit stuff that's taken place, but also the New York case where the statute of limitations basically had been rescinded, allowing them to look back many years in this case. Part of it was there have been allegations that he was drugging young women, so that there was which certainly implies that it was rape that had taken place at some point. But I think what HSI is probably looking at is the interstate aspects of it, if there was any online activity that could have taken place. And that's usually where HSI would have a jurisdictional interest. Homeland Security Investigations being part of the Department of Homeland Security, looking at the interstate side, mostly online, and whatever took place across state lines. And of course, he travels all over the place. So I'm sure they're looking at him potentially transporting women around the country, and whether that was tied to a larger criminal activity.
Yeah, definitely Homeland Security involved in any interstate, as you mentioned, and international criminal activity here. So what exactly do you think everyone is looking for at this point? We saw such a large number of law enforcement make entry.
Well, it's a combination of both local and federal. And from what I understand, the local law enforcement has the specific lead at each one of these locations with the federal federal investigators coming in with them in concert. What they're probably looking for is any evidence that they can gather. Certainly any images, pictures, video, anything online. I've no doubt that they're going in and gathering up any electronic media to include any laptops, any flash drives, anything that he might have that might support whatever allegations, whatever reasonable suspicion that they have that led to this these search warrants. You know, they just to get a search warrant like this requires a you know a rather you know a certain substantial legal barrier has to be, or legal argument or legal litmus test has to be met just to get them to sign off. Particularly knowing with somebody with means like this, that if they go into their home, they're going to be met with some very capable lawyers on the defendant's part to challenge what was ever done, and everything they do there is going to be challenged. So you can imagine, not only did they have to work with the district attorney and potentially assistant U.S. attorneys in arranging this, but they also are being very careful on how they're gathering any evidence, realizing that just about everything they do on site will potentially be challenged in court by his attorneys.
Absolutely. And speaking of his attorneys, we did reach out for comment. We have not yet heard back. Obviously, we want to hear his side. For Sean Combs's part, he has denied any allegations regarding...
I would sincerely hope that they didn't think that he was actually going to be witnessing any statements anytime soon. I mean, he hasn't even issued a statement since the Cassie situation. He's been in at least 4 to 5 different allegations ever since, and I don't think this particular situation is going to make Diddy speak up at all. If anything, we might hear from his attorneys, we might not. There's going to be something that possibly is going to try to sweep this under the rug, but there isn't anything that can sweep this under the rug, I don't think. Just mark my words that there might be something that can possibly try to sweep this under the rug with the way Diddy is acting right now. But that remains to be seen.
Sex trafficking and any investigation into that. But yeah, this could take a lot of time in terms of collecting that hard drive and flash drives and any computers they may find. Like I was mentioning before, Hal, it's very difficult to know where someone would have that or would hide that if they were trying to hide evidence. And we're looking at a big mansion here. Before we get back to you, Hal, let's go to Haley on the ground there.
Hey, Sandra, yes, we just got that statement from the Department of Homeland Security that I was trying to get for you guys about 10 minutes ago. It doesn't say a whole lot, but it says this is attributed to Homeland Security investigations. Earlier today, Homeland Security Investigations New York executed law enforcement actions as part of an ongoing investigation with assistance from HSI Los Angeles, HSI Miami, and our local law enforcement partners. We will provide further information as it becomes available, so nothing really that we haven't already told you. Here on the scene, on the ground, a lot of the law enforcement officers with Homeland Security have gone up the hill. You can see one of those big command vehicles coming out, one of those police vehicles. In the meantime, behind us, several of his friends, they've identified themselves as, have been trying to get through the crime scene to get to the house. But of course, LAPD not letting them through. We've tried to get comment from them on camera to find out if they have any more information about what's going on, but they haven't been able to they don't want to provide us any information, I should say. And just in case you're just joining us, we have homes of P. Diddy being raided on both coasts, Miami and his home here in Holmby Hills.
So, Haley, just to clarify, in that statement, it didn't mention Sean Combs, correct? Or anything?
It doesn't, but we have confirmation from multiple law enforcement sources that this does involve Sean Combs or P. Diddy. But no, this statement, I'll read it one more time, says earlier today, Homeland Security Investigations New York executed law enforcement actions as part of an ongoing investigation with assistance from both HSI Los Angeles, HSI Miami, and our local law enforcement partners.
All right.
We'll provide further information as it becomes available. Of course, we're trying to get them to talk to us on camera, but they said, the lady in particular who sent me the statement says she's not allowed to.
Thank you so much. so much. Yeah, not really clarifying a whole lot, though, but clearly understandable because right now, maybe they're not in position to divulge any more information. So let's bring in Hal Kempfer here again from Homeland Security. Thank you so much for your expertise in all this. I don't know if you heard that statement, but didn't really say anything except that an investigation is underway in Miami and here. So clearly not stating who it involves or what the charges are.
It doesn't, and they might be crime scenes. I should clarify, I'm not from Homeland Security, but I work in Homeland Security, and I've worked with Homeland Security investigations over many years. Very familiar with not only the agency, but also a lot of the individuals, a lot of the people who work there, to include here in Los Angeles, especially. Uh, what they're probably looking at are the two residences, one in New York, one in Los Angeles. And I haven't seen the documentation, but if it doesn't name Sean Combs by name, it's probably because there's been allegations that criminal activity had taken place tied to sex trafficking at these locations. So what they're doing is they're looking at the locations themselves and investigating them as potential crime scenes. And of course, with that, I'm sure the scope is such that they can look just about anywhere, gather up any materials. They're probably gathering up any electronic materials. They're probably doing things like imaging the place, taking a lot of pictures and stuff that may be used later. Could be in reference to what witnesses say on the stand, that they may look at various pictures of the locations themselves to help refresh their memory while they're talking about various activities that may have taken place or alleged to have taken place. So there's a lot of reasons why they might not focus on him per se. There's another thing too, is he runs a fairly large organization. The fact that they don't name him might mean that they're looking at other activities that could have taken place within his immediate, entourage or his organization that involve these properties. So one can't rule out anything at this point because we don't know a lot.
Sure, and obviously this is just their statement to the press at this point. So what the actual legal documents say and what the statement they gave us is very, very different, let's be clear. So we're sometimes, not privy to all of those details and information until it becomes available at a later date. But you were mentioning the whole search process. We are seeing so many law enforcement officials, investigators, and this is basically 3 properties on this entire, or 3 homes, I should say, buildings on this entire property in Holmby Hills we're talking about. How long is it going to take for them to go through it? Do they have a time limit? I mean, essentially, some people are going to come back into the home, right, at some point. So how does that all play out?
I'm sure if you were to ask them, they'd say it's going to take as long as it takes. These are huge properties. You can imagine looking through one home takes a lot of time, but when you have 3 very large buildings with a lot of different rooms, various different levels on those homes. Also, they're going to be looking at every nook and cranny. They'll be looking anything that's subsurface in the home. They'll be looking in basically everywhere they can. They could be using a variety of sensor systems to find out if there's any hidden compartments, safes, things like that, and walls that aren't readily apparent. There could be a lot of different things they're looking for, and they may have dogs there too, looking for various different things as well. But they're probably looking for more where stuff may be held. I would imagine with that, and of course anything tied to any of the allegations. We don't know. But certainly the fact that they're there indicates that they probably had, some witnesses say that certain things happened or certain things were there when they were there, and they're probably trying to verify if those things are in fact there, if that what they were told is correct. So there's probably just a lot of things that they're working through, checking off a list of stuff. And by the way, they may be looking on the grounds themselves. There could be stuff that's not necessarily in the buildings that are on the grounds. And of course, they'd be looking at that as well. I imagine it's going to take quite some time with a property this big for them to work through all of the potential spaces and places where materials could be.
Thank you so much. We will have more on Fox 11 F. So if we get information, we'll once again. And now we resume to our original program.
This is our family farm. And our third player is Zach.
We're following a developing story in Southern California where Homeland Security agents have raided the home of
So
rapper
they
Sean
actually
Diddy
did
Combs,
make a bust
as
here,
well as
and
his
this is an
studio in
updated
Miami
version
as part
of
of an
the
ongoing
live
sex
that happened.
trafficking investigation.
But this is Fox 2.
Reporter Haley Winslow from our sister station in Los Angeles joins us now with the latest on what's happening. Haley.
Julie, it's been a pretty exciting afternoon, to say the least. We actually came in the convoy in the middle of all of it with hundreds of undercover officers in their vehicles and Bearcats. We got a tip and we're kind of standing by for a while. So I was really the only TV reporter here for about an hour and a half as this all unfolded on our station Fox 11. So we saw them jump out of the vehicles, put the crime scene tape up, and with huge guns basically go into one of the biggest celebrities in the world, Sean Diddy Combs.
I was shocked. I was taken back. I was really shocked. I mean, I never even expected this to happen.
More people coming out. Who's this guy? Yeah, they're all kind of dressed alike.
Definitely shocking and hectic out here in Holmby Hills at one of Sean Diddy Combs' homes. We were first on scene as it all unfolded. We came right in the middle of the convoy of about 40 undercover law enforcement vehicles before they even put up the crime scene tape. The Department of Homeland Security making a big bust, officers say, in connection to a sex trafficking investigation. And while it was all happening, investigators were also raiding his home in Miami. Homeland Security has not yet released details or named Diddy as the focus of the investigation. The 20-year-old Ryan Mendelsohn, he's lived nearby his whole life, and he often visits his best friend just a few doors down.
But I've seen maybe once a week girls lingering outside. I drive by a lot, and I see that a lot of girls, maybe 5 or 6 girls outside, some leaving, some not, some going in, black Suburbans. Never know. I never thought anything of it, but now this is crazy. I mean,
as we broke word on scene and from Skyfox, Mapleton Drive near Sunset and Beverly Glen became a madhouse. And as more Bearcats and undercover cops pulled in, so did the swarms of onlookers, even a celebrity tour bus.
We all have to keep our minds open to what's going on here. And then,
well, this is from Brooklyn, though. Leave Puffy alone, man. Y'all crazy.
Definitely an unexpected added bonus for the people on that celebrity tour bus that goes through here. This neighborhood is
crazy for saying
home to
leave
a lot
Puffy
of
alone.
celebrities. In fact, it's actually not gated, but his home, of course, is gated, and we're told that there's actually a guard there. We have reached out to Diddy and to his representatives for comment. We have not yet heard back. I'm Haley Winslow here in Holmby Hills in Los Angeles. Julie and Mike, back to you.
Yeah, this is all tied to a series of allegations and lawsuits. Like you said, you've reached out but haven't heard back. The man in your piece that we saw them looking like they were taking someone into custody, was that person arrested or just apprehended while the search crews went into the home?
Just detained. So there were 3 people from our helicopter. It showed 3 people coming out of that home. They basically went in, they went to the back over by the pool, Julie, and they detained 3 people inside there. Diddy was not here at the time. I think he was in New York. They also, of course, raided his home on the East Coast in Miami. But the people that they took out of those homes, out of that home, excuse me, we don't yet know if they will be arrested. Right now, they're just brought in for questioning.
And you've been out there all day. What are they doing right now? Are they carrying things out, or are they just still kind of staking out and covering, tying up the neighborhood?
I think it's going to be a scene for quite a while. We've been on this since probably started around 10 a.m. We got to the scene here once they all deployed about 1 p.m. And they're still there. All those vehicles basically parked up the hill down the street. Those are all undercover Homeland Security vehicles. And they were bringing stuff out right away, right after they went in and detained those 3 people. They brought out their drones. They put kind of everything back in the vehicles. And then actually a whole nother convoy of about 40 to 50 Bearcats and undercover vehicles came in about 3 o'clock today. I don't know if it was a shift change or whatever, but they're still just kind of here staking it out, I guess getting any kind of evidence they can to figure out exactly what's going on.
All right, Haley Winslow in Southern California tonight. Haley, thank you.
But yeah, the man's houses are finally getting raided, and they are finally looking for all that evidence. It's about that time, y'all. It is about that time. We have finally reached the mountaintop. That's why I said at the beginning of the pod, man. A lot of people have been waiting for this day. A lot of people have been waiting for this day. Uh, you have so many different cases that are going to be reopened with this though, and that was why I said before I had a whole different podcast lined up for y'all tonight. Whole different podcast lined up for y'all tonight, but then this actually started to unravel. So I couldn't not report on it and share it with y'all. Of course, I mean, I'm seeing it with the rest of the world, but I had to, of course, come on the pod and you know once again reiterate that we here at Live from the Spot podcast, we the fans here of the truth. We had already predicted this. Well, not predicted this. We had already seen the predictions. We were just following along and waiting. We were just following along and waiting. Sloan Bella said Easter, March, Diddy would have something happen to him. She was not wrong when she said that something would happen to him in November in regards to the Kim Porter situation. Not Kim Porter situation, but that something would happen to him when Kim Porter was speaking from the grave. And ironically, this time, Biggie Smalls spoke from the grave. Said at the beginning of the pod. Today is March 25th, 2024. Life After Death released March 25th, 1997. It is the 27th year anniversary, to be exact, of the Life After Death Biggie Smalls album. If that ain't somebody speaking from the grave, I don't know what is. This is spiritual karma we are speaking of here. You are getting what you deserve, sir, probably. Allegedly. For Nipsey Hussle, for Andre Harrell, for Heavy D, for Biggie Smalls, Kim Porter, Takeoff. Did I miss anybody? Probably a few other names. There's probably a few other names that we can attach Diddy to. But I wonder how Usher feels right now. I wonder how Justin Bieber can't even talk right now. Half his face can't even move. Justin Bieber can't even speak right now. I'm pretty sure he's still cracking a smile. I'm pretty sure Al B. Sure is cracking a smile right now. Tiffany Red. Tiffany Red. I'm pretty sure Tiffany Red right now is definitely smirking somewhere. Having her good old laugh about this. See who else we could think of. It's a lot. It's so many people. It is so many people that man done touched in the wrong ways. So many people. And that's why we didn't really have to do much today with this one. It wasn't much to do with this one. Because we have been reporting on it for so long. We've done so many breakdowns from so many times before. We have broken down countless times, countless allegations of Diddy's. So, that's what I'm saying. We don't need to keep going back to them. We don't need to go back to Little Rods. We don't need to go back to St. Bart's. We don't gotta go back to Nipsey Hussle, do we? We don't have to go through Aaron Hall. Remember Aaron Hall in that situation with Jodeci and them? We don't gotta go through that, do we? Do we have to go back through the mansion party with Usher and the Frosted Flakes? Do we have to go back through the compilation of him with the wig? Do we have to go back through him being on the Breakfast Club with a cheetah print coat and denying he was even doing anything suspect on a whole different platform on Drink Champs? Do we have to go back through him? I like when you're squirming, Daddy. I like when you're squirming. To Fabulous. Do we have to go back to him calling Meat Meal Daddy? Him giving Birdman kisses on the forehead? Okay, Osiris. YK Osiris, excuse me. YK Osiris. I feel sorry for them kids, man. Seeing them kids out there being arrested was kind of crazy, man. That's kind of crazy seeing that, though. Seeing Quincy's an actor. Quincy's just an actor. He ain't out here like Christian trying to pretend he gangster. Quincy just an actor. And then Justin, he was born into this shit. Justin was born into this bullshit, unfortunately. Let's call a spade a spade. Justin Combs was born into this bullshit. From the shooting at the studio, to him having his own restaurant, to them putting the catalog together for him and his own publishing company, and him owning everybody's catalogs. Man, I feel sorry for the kids. Did he put his children in some bad positions? Some very bad positions. Put them in some good ones financially wise, but you want to really call a spade, man. This don't look good for their future. They're still young. And now this shit is attached to them. Now this dumb shit is attached to them. This dumb shit is attached to your daughters, Diddy. This dumb shit is attached to your daughters. They gotta grow up with this shit. You got two twins of Kim Porters that gotta grow up with this bullshit. They just celebrated your birthday, nigga. They don't care about none of this dumb shit. Celebrated Father's Day as if none of this shit happened. Your kids were celebrating your birthday and Father's Day with you like none of this shit was even happening. You gotta put them through this shit. Reggie was right. Reggie was right. And we knew he was gonna be right. But he said one thing that stood out. Every last one of you freaky motherfuckers do the same thing. Y'all keep your files. For whatever dumbass reason, y'all keep the files. And we kept the files. And we've been going through them files. Apparently, the police about to go through them files too. Because as we said before, there's going to be a 2-3 day investigation where they looking for shit there. It's going to be about a week before they leave there. They got 2 homes to raid. That's a little bit different.
Okay.
That's a little bit different. Hold on. Because we can be reminded. Oh, never mind. I don't got the old one. I thought I did. that I had the old clip of Mr. Reggie. But anyway, anywho, we ain't gotta play that. We gotta play it again. Remind y'all again. He already said it. Gene Deal has already told y'all what was gonna happen. So I hope he right now has got a champagne glass up right now. Gene Deal. Because for this to happen, like I said, on the anniversary of Biggie Smalls, I definitely hope Gene Deal is celebrating somewhere right now. Saying, I hope we got justice for you, Big. I hope we got some type of justice for you.